Hello, John. Your question is twofold. You've raised two issues there. You're talking about on the one hand, you're talking about the question of what are human rights laws, right? Okay. And on the other hand, you're talking about what are the sources of the human rights laws in the UK. Well, what I would say is, to answer the question, John, is human rights laws are laws that protect our rights as human beings. Okay, so we are born into life and we have these rights. Some of them are unqualified. For example, in the United Kingdom, the government cannot plan to kill you. Okay, that is an unqualified right. Or the right to get married, that is a human right. The government, in this case, can plan to stop you from getting married. So this is a qualified right. So you see, with regards to human rights, you have the qualified and unqualified human rights, John. So the second bit of your question, you wanted to know the sources of the human rights laws in the UK. Now that is important because a lot of people think that the human rights laws are coming all from Europe and specifically from the European Union. But again, that is not the case. We do not have, even when we were still part of the European Union, we did not have the human rights laws from the European Union. There is the European Convention on Human Rights, which is a convention, an agreement entered into by many European countries, a lot of them not part of the European Union. And within the European Convention on Human Rights, there are loads of laws there that protect different aspects of the human rights within Europe or within the countries of the contracting list. Now, what the UK did, the UK examined the European Convention on Human Rights, and some of the laws within that European Convention on Human Rights were laws that in the UK we already had that within our common law, and some of them probably we didn't have. So some of them were aspirational. So we brought those within the laws in the UK. Now we did not just apply the European Convention on Human Rights in its entirety, and that's also interesting. The UK examined and selected some of the articles, some of the laws within the convention that the UK felt we needed in the UK. And in 1998, the UK enacted, the UK Parliament, the Human Rights Act. Now, the Human Rights Act, Section 6 of it, implemented a selective, body of articles from the European Convention on Human Rights. I'll give you the two examples that I gave earlier, John. The right to life. Now, Article 2 of the European Convention on Human Rights guarantees the right to life for everyone. Now, like I said before, that's unqualified, which means the government cannot plan to kill you or to take your life away from you in the UK. So Section 6 of the Human Rights Act of the UK implemented that. Take the example of Article 8, the popular Article 8, where your right to family life, your right to private life cannot be breached by the government. Again, that Article 8 was brought into the UK legislation by the same Section 6 of the Human Rights Act. So, you see, the UK Parliament is implementing the human rights laws in the UK. So, to answer the question, some of the human rights laws, John, come from the UK. Others have been taken off the European Convention on Human Rights, but again, implemented by the Human Rights Act, which is a UK legislation enacted by the UK Parliament. So that's it for you. Our laws on human rights come from the UK. Thank you, man.